Hey everyone, today we are going to do some problem solving with fractions, which just is code for word problems. So we are going to read through some word problems and we're going to have to make a decision about whether we are multiplying or dividing the fractions in the word problem. I've got some hints here at the top that tell you whether you are supposed to multiply or divide, or the types of things that you're looking for that are going to kind of give you a hint in the right direction. So when you're dividing, it's asking for one of each or per or a single unit of something, so finding the unit rate. For number 2, it says how much of something is inside another number, so how much can you break something into, how many times more is big divided by small, and then if I'm dividing something equally. I'm going to multiply when I see the word of, so if it's 2/3 of the people, 3/5 of the amount, it's a fraction of a whole number or a fraction of a fraction. And then finding area or volume. Area is length times width, and then volume is length times width times height. So we can multiply 3 fractions. So number 1 says Lyle is putting his videotapes on a shelf. The shelf is 12 inches long. If each videotape is 1.5 inches wide, how many videotapes can he put side by side on the shelf? So I want to know how many of the 1.5 inch wide videotapes can fit inside of the 12 inch long shelf. So I'm going to do 12 divided by 1.5. That's the one from up above, number 2. That's this right here. How many of something is inside another number? So how many of those videotapes can I fit on that big shelf? So I'm going to change the 12 to a 12 over 1. And then it's going to be divided by 3 over 2, because 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3. And then it's going to be 12 over 1 times 2/3, because I'm going to keep change flip. So then 1 and 4. So it's going to be 8 tapes. I'm trying to find the number of tapes that fit on the shelf. 8 tapes fit on the shelf. Number 2 says Delilah has 4.5 pies and she has 9 people to serve. How much will each person get if everyone gets the same amount? So Delilah is sharing with everyone else and there are 9 people to share with. And I'm looking for each person. Number 1 says asks for 1 each or per. So I'm going to be dividing. So I'm taking the 4.5 pies and I'm dividing it amongst 9 people. So I'm taking the amount that I have and I'm dividing it with the number of people that I want to share it with. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9 over 2, divided by 9 over 1. So it's going to be 9 over 2 times 1 over 9, and I'm going to cross these out, so 1 over 2. So each person gets half of a pie. Number 3 says at a charity bike rally, 2/3 of the students at Lakeshore Middle School participated. If there are 1,200 students at LMS, how many participated? So I want to know how many students participated in this bike rally. And I am looking at the word of right here because it says 2/3 of the students. So this says fraction of a whole number. So a fraction of the total number of students. So this is going to be 2/3 times 1,200. And I'm going to do 1,200 over 1. So this is going to be 400. This is going to be 1. So 2 times 400 is going to be 800 students participated. Now, in these ones that include the word of, it's very specific as to how the of is included. So this says 2/3 of the students, and then it tells me how many students. It's not telling me that I have a cup of soup or a cup of juice or a, it's not describing what I have. It's telling me that I have 2/3 of the amount, okay? Number 4 says a lumber yard has a rectangular scrap sheet of plywood that is 3 3/4 inches by 1 1/5 inches. What is the area? So what is the area of the plywood? Well, we know that area, finding area or volume is going to be multiplying. And area is length times width. So I'm going to do 3 3/4 times 1 1/5. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15 over 4. And 1 times 5 is 5, plus 1 is 6 over 5. So I'm going to cross cancel. This is going to become a 3. This is going to become a 1, 2, and 3. So this is going to be 9 over 2 inches squared, or 4 1/2 inches squared. So to go from the improper fraction, to the mixed number, I'm going to say how many times does 2 go into 9? 2 goes into 9 4 times. And then there's 1 left over, so 1 over 2. So that's where that number comes from. Number 5 says, in 2 1/3 hour, Courtney can run 10.5 miles. How many miles per hour can she run? This miles per hour right here is the same as saying miles divided by hours. Okay, so when I set this problem up, it's going to be 10.5 divided by 2 1/3, because it's 10.5 miles divided by 2 1/3 hours. So 10 times 2 is 20, plus 1 is 21 over 2. Divided by 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7 over 3. And then I'm going to do 21 over 2 times 3 over 7. So 3 and 1, so 9 over 2. And again, 9 over 2 miles per hour is the same as 4.5 miles per hour, because 2 goes into 9 4 times, and then there's an extra 1 over 2 left over, just like the last one. Number 6 says Jackson has 12 cups of soup in a pot. If he pours 1/3 cup of soup into each bowl, how many bowls will be used? So I want to take that amount of soup and I want to divide it into 1/3 cup portions. So 12 over 1 divided by 1/3 is going to be 12 over 1 times 3 over 1, which is 36 over 1. So 36 bowls of soup are going to be used. So these are several examples of the different types of word problems that you're going to see. There may be slight variations in the wording or the objects that are being used, but this is very typical of the types of wording that you're going to see to be able to identify whether it's multiplying or dividing.